product on the shelves. That's is a promise of every brand, basically. But it's really hard to keep that promise in those days where we see all the disruptions around the globe for whatever reason. And now I would like to take you through what that means and how hard it is and it can be to keep that promise that you always have a product on the shelf. Let's see, and let me give a bit of a context into that and what does it mean by numbers globally. So Nielsen IQ brought out a study where you see 82 billion basically are lost because of these disruptions, because you don't have the right product always on the shelf. And another point to that, McKinsey put it more into the supply chain disruption and cost that are associated it, and it's 45% that you see here. And it's not about a single bad year. This study goes over a decade. So it's not just a single effect, it's a general problem that needs to be addressed, and that's what certainly keeps CEO of a CPG company awake at night, and that's what illustrates the 94%. So a lot of CEOs in CPG are aware of that. But the question is, what are you do about it? And how do you drive that you are not running out of your product at the shelf? And now getting a bit more tangible into that, and that's what I would like to illustrate with that chart. So we think about soya beans. We are here at the Hannover Fair, and we have the CPG topic as a main booth topic this year, and Brazil is our country that we are working together with this Hannover Fair, and therefore I thought the soya bean example would be a great example. When you look at that, take Mato Grosso. Mato Grosso is a state in Brazil, western Brazil, so in the heart of South America, and there are a lot of soya bean farms there, and they produce them. And by the way, Brazil is the biggest producer of soya beans globally. They have overtaken the US a couple of years ago. And with that, you need to produce them, you need to bring it to the silo, from the silo, across the country, maybe to the harbor, from the harbor to whatever destinations that you see in your customers when you are a soya producer. And therefore, it's important that you have that under control, and then you do the export in whatever country, then you do the processing in the country, be it for edible oils, for other things, and then when you have produced it, you would like to have that certainly on the store for the retail. And that complete chain is really leading to the logistic topics that we see, and you have different kind of legs. And when you think about that, and you look at those numbers, so it's just illustrating how big Brazil is in the soya bean production and how much they really export, and most of that into Asia. I will come to that Asian topic a bit later, but it means with a lot of legs in between, it could happen that you have a bit of a ripple effect, a bit of a disruption somewhere, but then you have basically 12,000 kilometers away a problem on your shelf. And that's what you would like to understand more, and where you would like to get your hands around it, that you always have a product on the shelf, and with that also gaining a competitive advantage over your competitors. Now, I would like to give you a couple of examples what that would mean and how that could look like. Let me start with PepsiCo, also a showcase down there at our booth. We have helped PepsiCo in the Gatorade production in the US. So they were challenged with a challenge means they had a good problem to have. They have increasingly demand on Gatorade, which is a good problem for Pepsi to really have. And we have looked at it, and they have multiple factories, and they have a mixing center, they have direct to store routes, all those kind of complexity kicking in that. But you need to understand that you are not solving a problem of higher demand when you look at that in a siloed way. So we have helped Pepsi to look at the complete factory network across all production sites. And with that flexibility and with that transparency, we really increased the capacity for the Gatorade production by over 20%, which helped PepsiCo to really addressing that demand. On top of that, because they didn't need to produce or build a new facility, it also decreased basically by 15% the capital expenditure. So it was really a great win for PepsiCo using our supply chain suite and the digital twin composer to really make that transparent and helping optimizing that on not only on a plant level but of the overall factory network. And that leads to compressing that planning time not in months but in days. Now that was a big advantage for PepsiCo in that case. As we are here in Germany, I thought it's a great thing to talk about beer. And we love our beer, as you can imagine. And with Radeberger Group, one of the biggest conglomerates that we have here in Germany with different brands, we have helped them as well because we built together a digital twin of the supply network to better understand the end-to-end dependencies and to evaluate special scenarios that Radeberger had. And they were also, in some of the brands, they have seen a lot more demand. So you need to be flexible how you produce the different beverage and the different beer of the Radeberger Group. So with that, we have helped Radeberger across 11 factories to really increase the production capacity and the available capacity in a two-digit level. So this really helped to optimize the complete supply chain network. And with that, they also didn't invest into additional capacity. So one thing is really to optimize the delivery, and it was not only about the beer, it was also about the returns, that we have optimized that flow back into the factories, because that was always a challenge, getting the empty bottles cleaned and then ready to be filled again. So a nice example for Radeberger also in that CPG arena. The next example that I would like to show, it's not in the primary food and beverage arena, if you like, but it's still CPG, so it's household goods. Bosch Siemens Hausgeräte is another strong example how we're turning the visibility into action. Bosch Siemens Hausgeräte has 39 factories, and we have built the digital twin of the factory network and the logistics network to really create a reusable template for all kinds of scenarios that they want to exploit. And with that study, they really were able to put that model in place over and over again to simulate different scenarios, and with that we decreased that simulation time by over 50% across all the 37 factories, which is a great help for Bosch Siemens Hausgeräte to become more efficient across their complete supply network and the complete factory network. Now, as I said, we are here at the Hannover Fair in Hall 27, and with that, really, one of the big soya bean users, so to speak, is TVOP out of Thailand. You have seen that, and I've said, I'm coming back to that Brazil is a big export nation for soya beans, and a lot is going to Asia and a lot is going to Thailand, and one of the customers of those soya bean producers is TVOP in that sense in Thailand. And the leg that you have seen, so coming from the farm over to the leg with to the ship, to the harbor, and then from the harbor going from Brazil to Thailand, there going from a big ship into a small ship, going the river up, and then by truck to the factory. So there are a lot of legs in between. And with that, we really increased the capacity that they have by 15%, and the operational efficiency by 50%, 25%, think about 25%, we took out a quarter of the freight cost that TVOP had, and we also improved the visibility by 61% overall. That really helped TVOP to get more visibility into their supply chain, and also connected the inbound and the outbound logistics to drive better and faster transition. Once you see that kind of results in the logistics domain, you can imagine how much it really helped to drive that down the road, and help TVOP in that case, and PepsiCo, Radeberger, and Bosch Siemens Hausgeräte before. That were just a few example that I have brought with me today to illustrate how important it is to look at that at a holistic point, to look at the holistic factory network that you have and how you increase your efficiency with looking at it in a way that using our tools, using the digital twin, using the optimization with AI algorithms around that. And now, coming to the end of my presentation, so it's not about having a single tool that you need to integrate again and again. This is not what it's all about. It's about looking at that really on a holistic manner in an integrated way when those 4 topics that you see here really working together. From the intelligence that we hear, that we see from the network intelligence, from the real-time execution, from the production demand balancing, and from the scenario intelligence, all really powered by AI and digital threads. That's something that we bring together in a one-stop shop and helping you, driving your demand, driving your agility, and helping you making better decisions. Because at the end of the day, the result for you, that's important thing for us as well, that you have always a product on the shelf.